This is the first rib that we have discussed already, and to compare with it, you have this on my right hand side, the second rib. You see that the two ribs have a similar curvature, but the second rib is much thinner and it is about double the length of the first rib. So it is not as flat as the first rib. So the second rib, it has the sternal end anteriorly, the vertebral end posteriorly, the vertebral end having the head, neck and the tubercle, and this is the intervening shaft. Okay. Now the head bears two articular facets. Unlike the first rib, it bears two articular facets, and the shaft, look at the shaft in particular. In the first rib, the shaft was flat and it presents an upper and a lower surface and an outer and an inner border. But here the surfaces are described as external surface and internal surface. The external surface is convex, it is looking upwards and laterally. The internal surface is facing downwards and medially. And very importantly, the second rib, in the second rib you have the costal groove beginning to appear. The costal groove is faint and short and it is located in the posterior part. So you have a faint and short costal groove in the posterior part. And the borders can be described as the upper border and the lower border. The angle of this rib is located near the tubercle. Now, if you look at the external surface of the shaft, near the middle of it, you can find a bony thickening or a tuberosity. From here, there is a ridge extending backwards up to the tubercle. At this bony thickening or tuberosity, you have the attachment of the lower part of the upper digitation and the lower part of the first digitation and the second digitation of the serratus anterior muscle. Remember the attachment of the upper part of the first digitation of the serratus anterior in the first rib? It is here near the outer border, behind the groove for the subclavian artery. So it is somewhere here. And here you have the attachment of the lower part of the first digitation and the second digitation of the serratus anterior muscle. Now along this ridge behind the serratus anterior, you have the attachment of the scalenus posterior, and further behind you have the attachment of the serratus posterior superior. So here you have the attachment of the serratus anterior, the lower part of the first digitation and the second digitation of the serratus anterior muscle, and here you have the scalenus posterior. The scalenus posterior, you remember that it sweeps along the posterior part of the outer border of the first rib and thereby making it thick, and it comes and gets attached here to the ridge behind the serratus anterior attachment, and further behind there is attachment of the serratus posterior superior muscle. Okay. Now coming to the internal surface, it is mostly smooth, being related to the costal pleura and endothoracic fascia, and here you have the costal groove, and the remaining features are all much similar to that of the typical rib. Okay, so this is about the second rib. Now how do you differentiate it from the first rib? So it is curved, but it is much thinner and longer than the first rib, and it has an external surface and an internal surface. The external surface is looking upwards and laterally, the internal surface looking downwards and medially. And the costal groove is very faint and short, located only in the posterior part. Now this is a typical rib. Now how do you differentiate it from a typical rib? You see that the costal groove is extensive and the angle is quite separate from the tubercle. But here the angle is near to the tubercle. Okay, so in this way you can distinguish between the typical rib and the second rib. The second rib is much flatter than any typical rib, but it is not as flat as the first rib. So I hope you won't be having difficulty in identifying and determining the side of the second rib. Thank you.